Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of Entangled. Tonight, I am so excited to be joined by my great friend, Joseph Simpson. Joe, how are you?
Good, man. How you doing? Great to be here.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Glad to.
Well, so maybe to kick things off, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So if you don't know me, my name is Joe Simpson. I have been in Denver here for 3.5, coming on 4 years. I feel like I've known you pretty much the entire time. Got to know you through your coworker Tibby. But yeah, just to give the full in depth. Originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Lived there, grew up there. Originally actually from Oklahoma City, if we're going to get detailed here. But then moved to Tulsa when I was 7 with the family. Have a younger sister, Allie. Mom and dad, Lee and Alan, I love you very much. Grew up there, like I said. And until I went to college at OU, moved down to Dallas, and then popped up here a few years ago.
Awesome. And what was it like growing up in Tulsa?
You know, Tulsa is a unique place. It's a pretty place. It's nice, but it's also it's a little.
Hang on.
It's nice. It's also it's a little generic. It's a little vanilla. Growing up there, you don't know that at the time. But it's a great place to grow up. It's inexpensive if you're raising a family. I can see why my family stayed. They both have good jobs and way to make that. And it's a pretty wholesome place. So it's overall, it's pretty good. I give it 5 or 6 out of 10.
Yeah. And were you like in the downtown area, or is there even one? Or?
Yeah, great question. I lived in Midtown. So as it says, we're just south of downtown.
Okay, gotcha. And did you go to big school?
No. I went to a small, all the elementary schools there in Tulsa are small. And then after that, I went to a small private Catholic school afterwards. So for middle school and high school.
Yeah. What was...
Go Cashahol, let's go Bulldogs.
Classic. What was it like going to Catholic school?
It was weird. I'm not Catholic. It's a good math and science school in Tulsa. So that was really objective for my parents. It's weird going to chapel every day and then having full service on Thursdays, and you don't understand what's going on until after a while. But yeah, overall, the priests live there. They're very nice people. So great education. Couldn't complain too much.
Yeah, it's funny. I went to Catholic school for like a year in high school, and there were like 3 Jewish kids, and I was one of them. So like that was kind of a bit of an ostracizing thing.
Yeah.
Did you feel that at all not being Catholic?
I actually have to give it up to Kasha. They were really, really good about exploring other religions, which sounds wild, right? Even in middle school, we took a year-long class called Exploring Religions or something like that. And they went into depth of, most, not only major religions, but some of the, less common sects. I think that they understood that, they were there as a school primarily. And then also, it's never good to have someone feel a part of the community if you're pushing them out, if you're not one of us. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So.
So as you got exposed to those different religions, did any of them resonate with you specifically?
Yeah, definitely. I would say Buddhism is a classic, right? I think that was just the concept of, being a good person and thinking about your life and more in depth and basically the genesis of how it came about. It shouldn't be quiz here. I can't remember. I think it was Siddhartha or whomever came through, and how he kind of discovered and came to Buddhism in its final form is interesting.
Mm-hmm. And so has religion been something that's remained an interest to you, or where would you say your views are on the God versus science spectrum?
Right. Yeah. That's a good question. No, I would say as I've gotten older, the less I've believed in God, much more in science. I never was super religious as a kid, and then as I've gotten older, it's not gotten stronger.
Yeah. What do you attribute that to? Just other interests, or don't believe in it?
If you're a student of history at all, you kind of see some of the things that have happened with the church, various religions. It's not just Christianity or Catholicism, but
yeah,
there's a lot that goes on, and yeah, it's asking just to believe in something blindly is, I think, becomes more difficult the older you become.
And when you talk about like the things that happened with the church, are you talking like with the scandal in the 90s?
I mean, it could be scandals, but I mean, if you go back to like the 9th century, when you're taking a look at popes and how they were established, and they were kingmakers based upon who was the right family or gave money. It just,
yeah.
How do you trust something like that?
Yeah. No, it makes sense. It's almost like the hierarchical structure of it just inherently makes you hesitant to believe anything they're saying in a way.
For sure. Exactly. Well, also just kind of the heresy of someone who's saying they're holier than thou and they don't act like it, right? And whether or not Christianity, and we'll take this specific example, has a root in a lot of great ideas. And there could have been someone named Jesus Christ who led an exemplary life and really changed kind of a lot of mindsets. Maybe it's human nature and the distance from that happening that it kind of spiraled away from that.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, man. I resonate with that sentiment so much. Like, it seems to me that when you look at what a lot of these spiritual leaders were saying, like Siddhartha, like Jesus Christ, they were talking about direct experience with God, right? The kingdom of heaven is within you. Mm-hmm. But then these organized religions came along and put leaders on top of it and said, God is who I tell you it is and who I say it can be for you.
Yeah. I mean, to keep going on the Christianity aspect, can you imagine, same time, we'll go back to the 9th century and, there's all these guys, Pope and everybody else, but they're speaking to you in Latin, and that's how you're supposed to believe, everything coming through. I mean, language you don't even understand.
That's a great point. A language that's not even spoken anymore, right? It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. So, excuse me. Anyway, growing up, I know we were talking before the show started that your parents worked a lot, and so you had a lot of time on your own.
Yep.
So I'm curious, like, what was it like, kind of growing up on your own and figuring stuff out?
Probably funny. It was good. I mean, I think it definitely helped me create a little bit of, stick-to-itiveness, little creativity, and little critical thinking abilities. But I mean, it wasn't like starving. They were just basically gone all day, and I had more time to probably be in mischief than I should have.
Any good jokes that you pulled when you were a kid?
Oh, I think I remember less the jokes and more me fake signing detention slips that I didn't ever show my parents or forgot to show my parents.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And you were talking earlier about being a student of history. When did that interest in history develop for you?
Good question. Honestly, I don't know. I think it's just something that's always piqued my interest, and kind of maybe just hearing stories or people who have done specific things, kind of came to me.
What do you think it is about, like, hearing other people's stories that's interesting to you?
That's a good question. I think it's incredible to see people who do extra human things, make extra human efforts, right? I think when you hear these things and that they're not always like, often today you talk about a company that's successful and you just assume that they were, it's a linear path to success. But when it's not, and odds that overcome or things that happen to them that they manage to handle in a certain situation is interesting. Mm-hmm. And because, maybe you can put yourself in that position too, and also cool to hear people can make it go above and beyond or do crazy things.
Yeah. Like getting just to hear that story of self-actualization and just having that spirit that just says, I'm not going to give up no matter how bad things may seem right now.
Yeah. And look, I mean, history is obviously not always perfect either. It's interesting to read about people who maybe manipulate the system in a certain way. And just, I think humans themselves are interesting. And so, examples that are kind of tail on the bell curve of normalcy
Yeah.
are interesting, right?
Yeah, the outliers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good or bad.
For sure, for sure. That is super interesting. It's like, and if you think about it, it almost is like those are the people who make history,
Sure.
almost
right?
by definition.
Yeah, if you're the outlier, they're going to want to have a record of that, right?
Hmm.
Unless, yeah.
Who are some of the people throughout history that are the most interesting to you?
Oh, that's a tough question. I honestly, a lot of it is a lot of military type stuff. If you're Alexander the Great was always cool. You look at the Romans and some of their how they conquested around the Mediterranean and then U.S. presidents. I think are very interesting. I also I'll tell you another thing that I find interesting is like a collective movement of history. So like I find the German unification really interesting.
You're talking about after World War II?
No, this is in the late 1800s.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah. So before then, Germany was a little collective, like hundreds, or I can't remember exactly, like little like states, right? And they still worked together because they had like economic, cultural, language ties, but they were never one. And so over, again, it's been forever since I've read about this. So Bismarck eventually comes through from Prussia and starts to really bring them through, might and influence brings them together.
Damn.
Yeah. So, and all the different people that come through and how they do that, but just like, you see the people change.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting. It's not necessarily like one person, go and again, just like the human aspect of it.
Yeah, that is cool. And what I love, and I think it gets to also what you're saying about why you like history in general, is just like thinking about how cultures and societies were so different. And like you think about Bismarck's time, you said like early 1800s, like it's really not that long ago.
No, sort of in the late 1800s. So this is 150 years ago.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And think what we've seen just in Germany in the last 150 years. I mean, it's pretty wild. Like, what do you think we're going to see in the next 150 years?
That's an insane question, especially now as we're watching Russia invade the Ukraine, right? And there's so many different dynamics that are happening that you can almost see like teetering of a World War III. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. And that's what's wild about, obviously, World War III is, World War II, the most dangerous weapon was a nuclear bomb, and, we dropped the 3 that we had. Like, what happens in World War II? World War III.
Yeah, I know. It's a much more dynamic game, though. I think the U.S. has really learned a lot about leveraging their financial system over the past years, and the pains of Afghanistan and Iraq are just, don't want to go back to war.
Yeah.
I'd say, of anything, it's interesting to see how all the other countries are kind of working together, too, though. Seeing European countries unify, China, China being reached out to by Russia, and if they're helping them out, what's going on, and I even saw today that I think it was yesterday, the Middle East is looking to sell oil in yuan denomination instead of U.S. dollar.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's
I
wild.
mean,
and you know how important the petrodollar is for propping up our system. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
That's what's that's what's interesting to me. And Ray Dalio talks a lot about like what happens when we were in this kind of transition point. Yeah, I know we're talking about Ray, and I still haven't had a chance to watch his new video.
Someone read the book, so
yeah. But anyway, I mean, it's same exact idea, I'm sure, in both. But like, just that we're in this archetypal transition in world power dominance, and that it looks like, if you look at all the traditional classic indicators of, for example, when we became the world power after the Great Britain, and then the same as Great Britain after the Dutch, et cetera, you kind of start to see these trends emerge, and based on where we are in the cycle and where China is, and where our economic system is in the long-term debt cycle, it does show a lot of concerning trends. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat it.
Yeah. I would say concerning for who?
I think everyone involved, right? Because the more likely of a geopolitical war.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That is a fair point. You would hope that if there is a transition, and it will be, I mean, just by sheer numbers, China is going to be a larger economy than us. And a world power. I mean, but you would hope that the transition is a lot more peaceful and suitable.
For sure.
Because I think, peace-wise, economically, and just the welfare of all states that are involved, that you'd hope that there is kind of it's not going to be easy. There's not going to be no tension, but
yeah,
any lack of tension. But you'd hope that it'd be that not go to a world war.
Certainly hope so.
But that is what he says, right? Mm-hmm. He's like, it always is kind of that change of guard through conflict.
Mm-hmm. At least that's how it's been. But I'm optimistic that just because that's what humanity chose to do in the past doesn't mean it's what we have to do in the future, right? We don't have to be victims of our history and keep making the same mistakes. But I don't know. I just hope people are students of history enough to recognize what's going on and where we are, and that we are at a very scary time in the history of geopolitical conflict.
Yeah. I agree. I don't know. I think it's something that, honestly, if you're a student of history, I'm going to tell you one thing is that you can't, it's impossible to predict the future,
mm-hmm.
right? Everybody in history has thought they've got it figured out.
For sure.
So, I don't know. I do hope that there's a peaceful transition as well. I don't think there's any need to go to war. I would love to see our military budget spent in better ways.
Uh-huh.
But do I think a military budget right now is a necessary thing? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is it a deterrence, but it's a technological driver for us right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't know. I know we disagree on this topic in general, but I would argue it's actually a technological suppressor. But,
okay. Well, yeah, let's delve into that.
Yeah, and look, I don't have the stats on me offhand.
Oh, neither do I, so it's okay.
But, but I mean, it's well known that the NSA and other intelligence agencies have seized several hundred patents over the last several years on new technologies that I don't know if they already did have developments within their unacknowledged programs, but regardless of whether or not those new inventors,
it from the market.
You're keeping it out of being used for peaceful purposes of getting us off the oil and gas infrastructure, right? So
it also reduces competition. Like everybody knows the best ideas come to fruition are proven in the natural market, right? And by that I mean kind of in the open market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I definitely. Is the U.S. government perfect? Absolutely not. I don't know that there is a perfect government, to be frank. Going back to our hierarchical structures conversation regarding religion. Because we've seen even CEOs of companies make bad choices. But yeah, I don't know. There needs to be an evolution of the military complex, industrial complex too, that is, how we represent ourselves to the world and how we manage ourselves.
Yep. And I fully agree with you on the point about just power structures in general. And I think that the reason, I don't know how to say this the right way necessarily, but the reason that all these power structures have kind of these same negative characteristics is because they all kind of stem from the same line of thinking, right?
Sure.
And so anyway, that's why I'm just thinking through what are ways that we can do better in the future. Are you DAOs? Have you heard of those at all?
I'm sorry.
DAOs, DAOs.
Mm-mm.
It's decentralized autonomous organizations, I think.
Okay.
But I don't understand the technicalities of it all. But it sounds effectively like you're treating a company.
Yeah.
Like a cryptocurrency in a way, where the decision making is decentralized.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how would you do that? Internally, each employee has tokens. You're monitoring your revenue through tokens.
I don't know. Yeah, that's way above my pay grade, but it's a cool concept, right?
I mean, I would say, yeah, decentralizing a lot of decision making would certainly help out get to not only the grassroots of like what's going on, right? Because then you'd truly be listening to everybody who are the sources of problems. But I would also, I mean, hopefully be a really clean, like easy, fast transaction, because the only scare that I would have would be with bureaucracy, adding bureaucracy to
For sure.
decision-making processes. And that's why you have the hierarchies. Like, you're supposed to be more educated, more experienced, wiser, what have you. And they're supposed to be able to make decisions better, faster, smarter than as a collective whole.
And the other thing that would be tricky too, I think, with the DAO concept is like if the coding or whatever it even would be is like too rigid, that like could that end up making it too inflexible of a management structure?
Yeah, almost like a ERP or CRM type software operating systems. We've all used those.
Yeah, exactly.
They were like great back in the day, and then now you're like, WTF? What the fuck's going on?
Siebel, you ever use that?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Siebel
my
systems.
Nightmare. Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Oh my god.
I blocked that out.
I saw that meme the other day that's like, you work for a tech startup when it's like, you do your CRM on Yatsu.
Yeah, exactly. And there's
hire
like 92 just absurd names. 100% correct. Like working for a smaller startup now, it's comical almost, because we've got so many different random ass things. They're like, oh, this makes it simpler, and it's like, no, we have like literally like 20 different software systems that I'm using. I'm like, what? And they change, and they're literally having a conversation right now about should we change out some of the software we're using right now in our stack. And I was just like, God, no. Just eliminate. Let's simplify.
Yeah.
So
that's so funny. And they all like claim to be able to do what the others do, but they're all like a little different, and some are a little bit better at other things.
Yeah.
Good.
Classic software game.
Yep.
So then how would you evolve the coins? Like, what do you know of cryptocurrency and like its evolution? Because
what do you mean?
Well, okay, I'll give an example. I think that you talk about Bitcoin now is like truly just an asset, right? That you own. Ethereum is meant to be a platform that you can build, put, you name it, your business, games, your platform on there. And then now there are even coins that are like built onto like Ethereum to make it faster, because Ethereum's getting more expensive. So, I mean, what would you have to do and like be able to do if you're going to run your whole business on a crypto coin? I mean, it really would be a software kind of locked in.
Well,
or you'd have to evolve it. It's like,
I get what you're saying. I don't know if there's necessarily like a coin per se. Like, there's not necessarily a monetary. Although, I guess if you're doing a company, you would have to effectively, right?
Well, I don't know if it's Bitcoin. I mean, you have to have if you can do an NFT process or like some sort of coin. But yeah, basically it's blockchain. So there'd have to be things on the blockchain.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's all pretty early stage ideas at this point.
I love the idea of accounting and revenue management and all that on a blockchain.
For sure.
That sounds fucking tight. I did read a cool story, and this is probably 2 years ago, where Walmart did some blockchain testing, and their standard process of supply chain found like an orange that came from who knows, somewhere in South America. It took them something like, I think 3 days to figure it out through the standard process, and that was quick for them. Obviously, they were focusing on it. And then it took 20 minutes through blockchain to do the same, because they had set up, they were testing the blockchain to see that they had built internally as like a supply chain management tool.
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of real-time information would be invaluable.
Yeah.
Supply chain right now is one of the hottest topics in all of businesses. They say it's one of the best majors to be having right now, if that's kind of your glory moment, is in supply chain. And so I think crypto and blockchain with that would be phenomenal.
Yeah. We looked at a really cool company that was doing like a kind of exactly that, like for the pharmaceutical industry, where it was like blockchain, but for every single supply that was going into it, because like counterfeiting is a big issue in pharmaceuticals, and like you have to make sure for efficacy purposes you have the right ingredients and all that stuff. So
Yeah, and like monitoring
totally.
your sources.
Mm-hmm.
So how was it? How much did you throw in there?
It was too far outside of our strike zone, but it was a
Yeah.
cool company.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds cool. I mean, obviously, that is the exact type of industry you'd want to go after.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new company I saw out of Dallas, actually, called O9. And they are like the new hot AI kind of, supply chain management, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's heading in that direction. I'm sure eventually, blockchain will become like that pharmaceutical company servicing pharmaceutical industry will become mainstay. Like everybody will start to use that.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about artificial intelligence?
I love it. I get it's a little scary, but can't be too afraid of the dark.
Yeah.
Kind of got to get in there, figure out what's in there. So I think it's cool.
Yeah, me too. I'm optimistic too.
I am too. I look, we're not perfect, but I think I don't think we're hopefully not dumb enough to really screw it up too bad.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing that I think about too is like, I think if intelligence by its own nature would like not want to destroy, right? Like it would.
Well, unless it's assertive, like wants to dominate.
To dominate
intelligence.
I
right?
get that, but like even you think about like human society, right? Like what we were just talking about with World War III and shit. Like clearly, domination is a less effective long-term strategy.
Well, it depends. So I will actually say this. What if you felt like you were so much smarter than everybody else and you needed to get them in line, and so you started to manipulate them to go towards an end goal, even though maybe it's kind of like a little bit of a chess move, like move them left to right. So once I control this society of people, then I can put them in the right direction and move along. That's the kind of dominance that I would be scared of if it was too smart for its own good.
Yeah, and I feel like that even it just comes back to our society where we're just used to these hierarchical structures, so we just think that naturally whoever is at the top is going to dominate the rest, right?
Yeah, and maybe that's my mindset.
Sense. But I mean, it's not it makes total sense that you'd have that mindset when what other examples do you really have to go off of that aren't that way?
Yeah. No, exactly. So we need the aliens to come down and start teaching us the right way. I gotta say, that is the thing. Like, if there are aliens out there, and I think, for one, there's like a 99.999% chance there's other life out there. Now the question becomes intelligent life and how intelligent.
And is it close enough? Are they in our same time frame? Right?
Yeah,
all that stuff. I get there's variables and all that.
So, but if they are that advanced and so good, and a lot of times, someone who speaks about extraterrestrial life puts it in like this like wiser, holier than thou type version. They're just come down and not be crazy. I mean, what if it's just like some drunk hillbilly alien that comes down and invades us? Or if they are so smart, why don't they come down and teach us how to like have world peace and advance the overall globe into a better direction?
Yeah. Well, the argument I've heard on that front, which from like the extraterrestrial community, is that with evolution of consciousness and transcending to be like a intergalactic species, you have to get there yourself, right? Like they can help and like kind of show you the way, but it has to be like our own initiative to get there.
Yeah, I get it, but I feel like when you see like a turtle trying to cross the road and or you see like a rabbit with a hurt leg, like you pick up the turtle and you move it across the road. Like,
but I think they have done that. I think they have done that, right? Like think about, you've probably seen some of like the documentaries, like they all talk about all these sightings over nuclear sites. I think they have actually probably stepped in at times when we were on the brink of nuclear war.
Just like pushing us away.
Yeah.
I mean that's fair. I'd wish they'd come in and like do the whole thing. They're kind of late.
Yeah, like the Arrival kind of thing. Just be like, all right, you know what I'm talking about, that movie with Amy Adams.
Yeah, awesome movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, but look, I just need it to happen.
Yeah. I'll believe it when I see it.
Exactly. I mean, I definitely, I believe there's life out there. If they're that smart, they need to come help us out.
Yep. Well, it's funny because we're talking, both of your parents have had different times seeing them, right?
Yeah, this is kind of what made me think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they definitely did. My dad has the classic story. Evidently, he and his sister were outside, and they're like 3 dots like hanging in the sky, and she calls it out. My dad's in Alan. She's like, "Hey, Alan, look at that," and he's like, "Whoa, what the hell is that?" They shift left, pause like super quickly, and what? Because shift to the right, move around a couple times, and then dart off. And even he said it was funny because a couple years ago he brought this up to her, and his sister, and she goes, "Oh yeah, I totally remember that," because it made a big impression on them.
Yeah.
But the
that's
good story,
crazy.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no. Keep going.
The good story is my mom.
Yeah.
She's the one that's got like the best story of all time because she is as straight-laced as it comes. She's awesome lady, a lot of fun. But very logical person. She's an attorney, and like I said, pretty straight-laced. She swears up and down that in her teens, she was upstairs watching TV, and they had this balcony that she'd walk out to, and she saw a flash.
Was she in Oklahoma?
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I'm glad you asked that because this is a part of the story in that. She's actually up in Wacomas, which is right outside of Enid. And
okay.
It's like farming country, classic. Like what people think of Oklahoma, that's it.
Sure.
So, but there's an Air Force base, Vance Air Force Base, is between like her and Enid. Or I think either that or the farm is between it and Enid. So really close.
Yeah.
Anyway, she sees a flash one night, walks out to the balcony, and swears up and down like she can vividly see it today. And she describes it as this, a flying saucer that had like red and green lights around the middle. And it was same description as my dad, like zip left, zip right. And she said it kept like flashing things. And the funniest part is she's like, like the old cameras back in the day, they give a flash. She's like almost like that. And it zips off. She goes downstairs, tells her parents, and they're like, this is what I love. Her parents aren't like, yeah, you're crazy, get back upstairs. They're like, all right, well, if you're saying that, we got to call somebody. So they end up calling like the police or somebody, I think out of the Air Force Base. And that there were no other like recorded sightings, so nobody else called in.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I thought that was funny. Her parents were like, well, fuck it. I mean, if you said that, we got to tell somebody. You
said that they were by an Air Force base?
Yeah, there's a big Air Force training grounds.
Interesting.
Out there.
And that's in Oklahoma as well?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Well, so another argument from the extraterrestrial community is that a lot of these craft that people see are actually either like craft that have been downed that we've learned how to control, or like alien reproduced vehicles that we've just built from the ground up. So it's possible that they were flying something around.
No, that's something she throws in there herself. She's like, look, like I do want to mention I was also close to an Air Force base, like because she has the same thought pattern.
Yeah.
Right? Like either they're testing something or whatever, but she's like, I know what I saw.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like crazy. I was like, but Mom, were you really into like, kind of science fiction or anything like that? And she's like, well, look, everybody watched Star Wars, but that was it. Like, I wasn't, that's a totally different shape. Like, I saw a flying saucer, Joe.
So it was like a saucer shape?
That's how she described it. I mean, I haven't had to like draw it out.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's next step. So everyone tune back next week. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see the drawings.
We'll post it on the Instagram page.
It'll be the artwork for the podcast.
That's awesome.
Or for my episode.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I mean, look, I just go back to the extraterrestrial stuff. Obviously, I think that there is probably something out there. And I think all the sightings of things do have like some base in reality. It'll just be really cool. I just want to be there. Maybe I'm just like selfish. I just want to be there when the aliens come and I can see all this crazy cool stuff happen.
I don't think that's selfish.
Yeah, because I want it to happen now.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I want to see it.
I think we're closer to it than you think.
Maybe.
I really do.
What was it? What was the show, the movie you had me watch?
Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind.
If we get 1% of the people to meditate together.
There you go, man. We make it happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it was fun when we did the meditation part and looked for aliens.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate it turned out like cloud shifted. That's the bad part about being in the mountains.
And it was so cold too. It's just not fun when it's like that cold. You're like, fuck, you can't even look at the stars. Well, thanks for doing that with me though. I appreciate it.
We'll have to do it in Telluride.
Yeah, dude, definitely.
That'll be perfect. I mean, that's beautiful. Clear skies there.
Telluride's amazing. Yeah, we went to a camping trip to Telluride a few years ago, and that was such a fun trip, man. You were telling me a lot about Teddy Roosevelt on that trip, and why you've really enjoyed his life.
Oh, I mean, it's hard to be an American boy and not enjoy Teddy Roosevelt. I mean, this guy's a fucking clown. You know, if you read a lot about him, he's kind of an absurd little guy, and he really, makes something of himself. And he's a character, and the best thing is that he really has his heart, for the most part, as long as you're not Native American, in the right place. But overall, like, he's someone who's fighting for the republic and the country itself.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little bit of a war hero, and he also fights for like the common person. I mean, he did a lot of things. Even today, going back, that's why we're talking about it in the national park. He was that guy going and really, he was in some of the first groups in the first. I would say East Coast elected official that was really pushing for something of like that, like a national park, something being preserved where no matter what, you could go out there.
Yeah, I'm so glad he did because, I mean, it's just so gorgeous out here. And
yeah,
it's sad for me, honestly, to think about what even, because I grew up in Ohio, you're from Oklahoma, like where they didn't just completely plow over all the land, right? Like, what did the natural scenery look like more?
Yeah. I can tell you Oklahoma was very tall grass ridden, and some trees.
Huh.
It probably actually, honestly, not too different than what it looks like with the wheat fields. That's what they grow in Oklahoma. So, but probably a lot more wild.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. But I will say there are...
Even though... Sorry, just to interrupt. I'm just thinking, like, even the wheat fields, though, that's probably something we just brought
for sure. No, that did not exist.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when it was Native American land, what did it look like?
For sure. I think Oklahoma's beautiful, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, up in the Northeast, now, it gets really arid out west. But, you have the foothills of the Ozarks. And I don't know if you've ever been to Arkansas. Arkansas is beautiful. Like, there's a bunch of, crystal clear mountain lakes, and it's hilly. That's about all that's out there. But, and so, Oklahoma and Tulsa is kind of in that area. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty. It's like rolling hills, trees, grasslands. Yeah.
That's wild. And you mentioned, obviously Teddy Roosevelt, and I don't know specifically what was done under his presidency, but you mentioned, his less than favorable track record with Native Americans. And I'm curious how you think about, as we look at historical figures and people today, right, and thinking about the good and bad that's inherent in everyone and the decisions that people make, right? Like, how do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think the lessons learned. Every action has to have some gauge, right? Like, in the most extreme example, if we're going to talk about Hitler, there's no way that you can rationalize his actions, right? Andrew Jackson, Trail of Tears, Oklahoma was an Indian territory. Not a good thing. Really, really bad thing. And he's also the founding father of the Democratic Party. So, I don't know. I think that you have to take everything with a grain of salt, especially when you look on historical figures. You can't just brush it away and say, oh, it doesn't count, it doesn't matter. It hugely impacts different people, But I think you can also take the good out of actions and hope that they are enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
I,
Yeah.
I saw a crazy interview. Have you seen the docuseries on Kanye?
No.
Awesome. You got to watch it. Like, you're going to hear all the songs and you're like, get thrown back to like the time they're coming out.
I love that.
And then you see Kanye, and the guy is a genius.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's pretty impressive.
Uh-huh.
But you also see like his madness kind of like setting on, and like you see him today versus like what he was. And
Mm-hmm.
he's still awesome, but it's like that's someone too that I hope that people in the future, when they look back at Kanye, they don't judge him by his like final steps or some of the craziness that he goes through, but you like kind of look at him in the music and what he's done and like how he built himself. That documentary is awesome.
Awesome. I need to check that out. And dude, it's funny. The more I think on that line from The Dark Knight, you know, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Like,
Right.
I feel like that is just so true.
Yeah. Especially for like big time characters like that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. But that's kind of how our society is set up. It's like you can succeed until we turn on you, and then it's like, nope.
Yeah, I think it's tough. Like, just for fun, you go back to like Kanye.
Yeah.
You know, that guy's a genius, right? He's an artistic genius. Artistic geniuses have a history of, you know, probably being a little bit out there.
Sure.
And, you know, how do you check Kanye? You know, how do you tell him what he's doing is wrong when he's like a creative genius, right? And you don't want to stop that either. Because he has that like history of going on medication and getting off.
Yeah, so you're talking about Kanye, and that like kind of artistic genius, and isn't there's some kind of artistry and madness go hand in hand?
Yeah, and just to close out that story, the reason why my point is getting to is basically like you would hope to be able to like help Kanye not reach that point, but then also where do you start to limit the genius as well? That's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Like, to be an original person, you're by definition defying the norm.
Yeah.
So
Being thought-provoking, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we were just talking about books as well earlier, and I'm curious, you know, have you always loved to read, or is it something that you've gotten more into later in life?
No, it's so funny. It was definitely later on in life. I started off like hating reading anything nonfiction, and then you know, especially we also talked about earlier the internet coming out and like being a big thing. I remember getting like cable internet, like I just wanted to like read stories or go read things or go look at websites, and so like my attention span for text became in paragraph form almost, and so it took me until later on in my 20s that I was like probably later 20s I started getting back into books. Yeah.
And what are some of your favorite types of books to read?
History, nonfiction, obviously number one. I think the other is I like I don't know, just basically some like fiction, but like pseudo realistic fiction, if that makes sense.
Totally.
I can't stray too far into like
not like fantasy type
stuff. Netherworlds, yeah. What about you?
I used to read a lot of fantasy, actually. That was my favorite as like a kid.
Yeah.
And then
good for the imagination.
Yeah. And then I'd say really like around the time I started Key, I started reading nonfiction, and that's pretty much all I read now.
Oh, really? What made you make the switch?
You know, I just started when it was the couple months right after I quit, right when like we hadn't even like decided on Key yet, and like and then even when things started getting going with Key, like I just had a lot of free time because Pete and Tibby were still working at Partners, and so I just was kind of, you know, I had just like a lot of like creativity time, and I'd never really had that before in my life. And so I just started reading books about like successful entrepreneurs and learning their stories. I mean, like, and that just kept leading me to kind of keep searching.
Did that help reinforce the message you were telling yourself, like internally, about doing this, making these steps?
Totally.
So did you leave Key then, knowing you're in leave Partners Group knowing you're going to go into key? Because the way you phrase that, I was going to say, because the way you phrase that, it seemed like you were just kind of fed up. You're going to take a step away anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Then how did key then come about? Was this pretty quick into your step away, or?
Yeah. So when I left originally, I'd been planning to actually do like this travel company. Totally different idea.
Shut up.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Never heard this.
Yeah, it was gonna be like The Amazing Race, but you had to pay for it.
Okay, cool. Wow, I'm interested. Favorite show of all time.
Yeah,
for
cool
sure.
Show.
Okay, so tell me more about this business.
I started doing that was like high level what I was thinking I was gonna do. I wasn't totally committed to it.
Yeah.
And then just as I left Partners and started doing the research on it, like it's
very
really expensive as fuck.
Yeah, a lot of marketing and
yeah. So just wasn't a great business model. And I'd had an idea to do like a cannabis venture fund a few months before that. I'd like read an article about how there's no financing for it, but I was still at work at the time, like I just kind of brushed it off.
Yeah.
And just was kind of thinking back to the other ideas I'd had, and that one came up. And I knew Pete and Tibby obviously at Partners Group, and I'd also gotten to know them as friends, and just knew that they were also very ambitious guys like me, and so came to them with the idea one day, and we just ran with it.
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys, I remember the very beginning, and it was, so you had decided at this point that you were going to be a part of Key, and I'm sure that's why I was going up to Tibby, with Tibby to go skiing, and that's where I met you originally. Mm-hmm. You were living up in the cabin.
The Troll Toll.
Troll Toll. That was a pretty cool place. You had a huge fireplace with wood it's like your classic cabin look, wood everywhere.
Dude, that was a fun spot.
Yeah, it was a great spot. It was in Silverthorne, which has enough there. There's more than 3 restaurants.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
2
I literally
bars.
would go to one of the 3 restaurants every week or every night.
yeah, exactly. So, and I just remember you guys kind of going through it. And I'll tell you, when I first saw you guys interacting, you seemed pretty certain. I'll say. It was cool to see, some guys my age out there kind of, sticking their necks out a little bit and going after something. Even wilder to know that wasn't you just even kind of were just taking a step away to begin with. So
yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, man. No, that time was the best, honestly. The first 9 months before we actually started fundraising, because we just thought we were, kings of the world, having the time of our lives, just totally naive to how hard fundraising would be. You know what I mean? So all the fun parts of starting a business, and just everything's going right when you can't really screw anything up. You're not managing money. You haven't made any investments. And then we started fundraising and quickly realized, oh shit, no, this is
how hard this is going to be.
Yeah. But it was a good time, man.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Or do you think that what's I don't know, what's been the most fun or kind of interesting wild ride you've experienced while creating Key and running Key?
Yeah, man, that's it's a tough question, man.
It's a really vague, open-ended question. Yeah.
I think it's just you have to learn to roll with the punches and keep having that determination, right? That resolve. There were times where things were really dark. You just, we took a lot of debt out from friends and family at one point. And when we started fundraising, the cap markets environment was really strong. And so that again fueled our naivete of just, how easy this was going to be.
Yeah.
We didn't have a ton of personal disposable income too. So our runway was obviously constrained on that.
And how big was your Rolodex at the time?
Not great.
Yeah. You had some people, but it wasn't huge.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you were 30 years into a career and could just pull, names.
Exactly. And our friends are obviously all our age too, so they don't have the net incomes either. So the people we're trying to raise capital from, it's we had very legitimate backgrounds, and we did have good Rolodexes. Just they were more junior folks. They didn't necessarily.
Yeah. Don't let me demean from.
No. But I'm just saying, it was all tough. But that's that's where the opportunity was. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Exactly. I'm sure there are a few people trying to do it and follow up with that now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Careers are a wild thing. I've kind of recently gone through a transition myself, going back into sales and into a new industry, into software. Mm-hmm. Where did you think you'd be at this point in your career? And like where? Yeah, just the stark differences from then, you know, to
Yeah,
now.
dude, that's a great question. I mean, my
Yeah.
my career in life has taken so many hilarious, unexpected turns that like I don't even know. Like, I guess it depends on when I was wondering about it. Like,
Maybe not when you're
yeah.
8 or 12. But
Yeah.
like, let's say you're 18.
I mean,
or
I don't know.
20.
I guess it like it's one of those
24.
things in hindsight that like it does totally make sense, right? Where like I never was a big pot smoker growing up. Like I smoked
Yeah.
in college and high school occasionally with my friends and like, but I never really bought it till I lived in Colorado. But I have definitely always been a bit of like a class clown or like hesitant to authority, right? But also have had like a pretty good grip on finance and math and that kind of stuff. So like being in investing, but also in drugs is also like kind of a hilarious, but also totally appropriate place for me.
I like it.
Yeah.
Did you see yourself as someone who'd start a venture capital firm, whether or not it's in the weed industry or not,
You know,
or being a corporate guy?
when I was a kid, I didn't think I was going to go into business at all. Like I wanted to go into politics.
That's right,
or
yeah.
do like international affairs, something like that.
Yeah.
And then like just
Those dreams died quickly.
yeah, dude, I mean, coming out of undergrad, like it's like, oh, you don't have a fucking PhD and
Right,
2
yeah.
published books. Like you can't do anything in that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So then, but you know, I think that I've also come to the realization that that governments in general are just inefficient, bureaucratic, and like not really the ones that are making the real changes anyway. So I'm
No
glad I
desire to
ended
run
up
for
in private.
office and like change things yourself. I mean,
I guess definitely want to change things.
Yeah.
But I don't know if me being in office is like the best way to
really
do that.
does it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
I think I can provide more value maybe being the guy on the outside being like, yo, the emperor doesn't have any fucking clothes on.
Yeah. You'd be a good man to do it.
Thanks, man.
Definitely. That's cool. What do you think about the U.S. government? And I know you think it's all corrupt or whatever, but I mean, let's hear your thoughts then about like where are we going now? Like we've veered all the way right, now all the way left, and like where does it go? Where are we in
It's
12
crazy,
years?
man. I mean, I think we're at a point where something big is going to happen one way or the other, right? Like, I think realistically, either... Actually, no. Let me take a step back. I think what is the most likely outcome is that we expose what's going on within the military-industrial complex, then we start to have open communications with extraterrestrials, and we transition to a much fairer, peaceful society. I really do think that...
Does it take extraterrestrial intervention for us to do that?
It's a great question. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Is that why... What drove your seeking of knowledge and like extraterrestrial and like, you know, consciousness aspects?
Man, it just... The extraterrestrial part of it was the least interesting part of it to me, honestly. Like, I just watched that documentary because both Pete and Tibby were like, yo, this is a
Which
crazy...
documentary?
Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind.
Okay, so the one I saw too.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
But that's
okay.
what really kicked it off for me. But, you know, I'd seen that the Pentagon said there are these UFOs. Like, we don't know what these are.
I mean, that came out as news.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was naturally curious, and then when both of those guys were like, yeah, this is crazy, like, you should check out what he's saying. So I saw that, and then, you know, I'd had experiences of, like, when he's talking about spirituality and this, like, unified field of consciousness.
Sure, yeah.
I'd had experiences on psychedelics that connected with me, but I hadn't had the context before, you know, when I'd had those experiences.
Okay.
And so then fast forward, like 2 weeks after I first saw Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind for the first time,
Yeah.
I was reading one of the books he recommended, which is called Holographic Universe. I got you that as well.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely got to read that.
Solid 10 pages deep.
Yeah, I know. It's dense, but it's fucking mind-blowing.
Okay.
But anyway, so I was reading that book and decided to just go explore consciousness, took 2 tabs of LSD, and totally, like, unexpectedly had a transcendental experience, full ego dissolution, where I just felt connected to this higher unitive field.
Wow.
And that, you know, I had no fear of death. Like, it was really profound. And so that experience supported the spiritual claims that Greer was talking about in the documentary.
Okay.
And so then I just started chasing down every single rabbit hole, everything he talks about, from the metaphysical concepts, from the psychic abilities, to the extraterrestrial phenomenon, to the corruption of the military-industrial complex. And so far, it's all it's all held up.
You've been true.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's just like bang, bang, bang.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're in it, you're in deep. What have you found to been kind of the truth then? So if someone is now kind of just found the wormhole, the rabbit hole, and they are going to go start looking for stuff to seek, where would you advise them to, what directions would you point them?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think I'd say it depends on which element of the truer nature of reality, I'll say, because I think the further back we peel this onion, the more crazy it just keeps getting.
Okay.
But yeah, just, of the kind of various topics that are all seemingly independent but are also interrelated, just whatever is, the most interesting part of it. Like, I think Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind is one I typically recommend to people just because I think it does a good job of bringing it all together in a very coherent story.
Okay.
But then, like, the holographic universe, if you just want to understand the physics of it, is the best.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it the physics that you're most interested in then?
I think it's the physics that was what I needed to get there, just because I come
It
from
solidifies it for you. It puts it in rational terms.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So
Cool.
that was what enabled me to start believing, and then once you believe, then you start to see.
Once you pass the tipping point, you can't go back.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. That's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think if there's anything that I believe in so much and so wholly.
Yeah.
I think there's I definitely think that there's a definitely true essence of life that everyone has to figure out for sure. And I think that a lot of that starts out early when you're finding out how to become a man or a woman or whatever kind of you're choosing to be. But I think that's the first consciousness hurdle that I came over, and I think a lot of people come over, and then just knowing and kind of trying to figure out where we fit in the greater society. You hear a lot of people, or a lot of times you hear about people, or they say that as you kind of get older, as into your 30s and 40s and move on, that you start to become much more aware of the world around you, your own existence, that there's a finite amount of time, right? Those things start to hit you. And so I think it's interesting that you're asking yourself at this time, what's going on in the metaphysical and understanding all that stuff. I think it's really cool and good way to keep yourself educated and learning about things. I think that always makes you a better, sharper, better person that allows you to use that same kind of critical thinking in your day-to-day activities, like work and other aspects of life.
Totally. I totally agree with that. It's one of those things where it's just you keep feeding that curiosity, it just keeps compounding.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things, a lot of good things. If you're open to talking about what we did on Saturday, that was a pretty unique experience.
Yeah, it was. So if you don't know, Jordan and I took DMT on Saturday and had a pretty surreal experience. It was in tandem. We did that along with some meditation and kind of, getting ourselves focused and set right. That it was a really interesting experience. So I'll let you take it from there. But yeah, I'm open to talking about it.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious, given what we were just talking about with consciousness. I mean, how did that, if at all, impact the way that you view consciousness?
I don't think it impacted my view of consciousness negatively or positively. I think it was a definite out-of-body experience. It was pretty intense. But for me, it was more of almost being in a weird visual art house. And I think that if you've never taken or smoked DMT before, it only lasts for 5, 10, 15 minutes. It is not a long-riding drug. And I think that's almost to the, thank God, but to the detriment of the experiences that I know it's going to come out. I go in knowing it's going to be a short amount of time. Yeah. So maybe that prohibits my ability to really think about it deeper on a deeper level. Yeah,
I think to that point, I mean, so it's both of our first time doing it. It's short, so it's so powerful too that it's just so hard to process as well.
Right. So I did it twice. The first time I couldn't even like, it was like there. I mean, you know, like I was just like there, kind of taking it in. I couldn't, no control, nothing ever. You know, just visually, whatever. But the second time, I definitely felt like I had a little bit more control. And so, I think if you were to continue and try and use it even as like a meditation tool or something of that nature, that it would be, you know, pretty impactful.
Yeah.
I mean, it is truly a wild experience.
Yeah.
Wild ride.
Yeah. I'll say the one big takeaway I had from it, because besides that other acid trip I talked about, you know, that really started this for me, this was like the other time I've had like just full ego dissolution, right? And like,
sure,
to me that means like I knew I had no body. I was not the stories that, like, just this the human Jordan Euclid that I think I am, but I was certainly still my same consciousness.
Yeah.
But in an entirely different reality or like different dimension even.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to properly explain where I was, but it was an experience unlike anything that could possibly have happened here as a human.
Yes, I would agree. I was definitely taken out of my body. So I will say, do this for me. Define, like you say, out of body experience.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean to you? Because I know what it means to me.
Yeah. To me, it means like where I have totally disassociated from it. And that's actually what I sent that text about the other day, right? How that study I sent you with like comparing meditation to psychedelics. And I think what it is like with higher states of consciousness, right? So like in the Vedic tradition, they call it transcendental consciousness, then cosmic consciousness.
Okay.
And so I think once you get to that point of ego dissolution, either through psychedelics or meditation, like it's almost like you either get there or you don't, right?
Yeah,
it's like it's a tipping point.
I would agree. Okay, so I think that's what you're saying. And yeah, I've never had like, I've had out-of-body experiences. I've not had an ego dissolution experience, as you're describing. So,
but you don't think the DMT experience was that?
No, I would say my ego is still intact.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, that's why I wanted to get your definition, and I like that you said, you know, the ego dissolution, because that allows me to know like how far like you truly felt. It was an out-of-body experience for me. I definitely did not feel my body. It felt like I went to another. So to describe what I saw is I went to like literally to like a very geometrically driven green and some like red colors, and all of a sudden that like dissolved, and I went into a room and I saw more shapes and colors, but it was very distinctly like a three-sided room. I was looking kind of more towards one corner, and I think I saw a bed, and
really?
And like it was also, I saw a Lego man.
Yeah.
So it was surreal, and it was so vivid.
Yeah.
That's what I will say. I've never experienced something so vivid in my life as in those 5 minutes or however long it was.
Yeah. Did you like communicate with the Lego man at all?
I could not. Yeah, not even capable. I was so just like, what is going on? That I could not like interact in that manner. The second time I did, I felt like I was like, okay, like I can kind of control this and like, do whatever. But no, the first time, zero.
That's funny. Yeah, it was wild, man. I like still don't know if I've even come close to processing it, but it was cool. It was definitely a good experience.
That whole thing was a great experience. Mm-hmm. Doing the meditation, kind of like getting together and talking about it and stuff. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, cool. That's fun, man.
Yeah.
Well, dude, this has been such a fun conversation, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jordan, I appreciate this coming over. Finally get to see the podcast, see
yeah.
what's happening. Always good to hang out. Get to be a part of it, too.
Absolutely, man. Really appreciate you coming on, and it's been a blast. We'll have to have another episode at some point.
Sounds great, man.
Love you, brother.
Absolutely. Right back at you.